Welcome back to the Scarfey Spurs Talk podcast. Yes, I've called it an emergency podcast because we've got the Here We Go to Mohammed Kudus to Tottenham West Ham fans are in bits this evening. Make sure you check on any West Ham fans because we're about to sign their star player. Stay tuned to the very end because I'm joined by two fabulous guests. We'll be talking all the latest Tottenham transfer news. Have a big feeling a lot of it will be on Mohammed Kudus, but we'll touch on other news such as Valise going out on loan to Rosario Central for the 25-26 season. Kota Takai officially signing and for the club that's been announced as well as like Romero's future and links to Johan Wissa, which have really picked up as well today. So good time to be a Spurs fan. It's been a quiet transfer window so far, but it's starting to pick up. But let's introduce tonight's panel. Firstly, Gary, how you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks very much for coming on last minute.
No, you're welcome. No problem at all.
Appreciate it. And Lewis, thank you very much for coming on, mate.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on as well. It's great to talk Tottenham transfers when you eventually get them. We've been waiting a while.
We have indeed, but it's absolutely worth it. If you're listening on YouTube, please do subscribe, like, get involved in the comments. If you're listening after on the podcast platform, please do drop us a follow and a 5-star review. So Fabrizio Romano took to X just less than a couple of hours ago to say Mohammed Kudus to Tottenham. Here we go. Deal in place for £55 million from West Ham. Kudus only wanted Tottenham. He'll now sign a 6-year contract at Tottenham, so he'll sign until 2031, which presumably June. Medical test booked for Kudus in London on Thursday, then all signed. So there we go. Gary, can I get your reaction to this news? Because you called it on the podcast on Monday. You wanted it to happen. You thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, I'm pleased it's happened. I think the price is good as well, 55. So we got them lower than what they wanted, but also lower than his release cost. So that's really good. Good to get one over the line. I think, as we said on Monday, with coaching announcements, everybody back in, I thought that we might start speeding up things. And there's obviously been loads of news today, but the main one being that we've got our guy, and be interesting to see where he plays. I would hope he maybe comes in from the right and Johnson moves over to the left. I think that'll cover bases quite well. But yeah, I'm excited to see him. Hopefully, like I said on Monday, we get the season 1 Kudus, not last season's one. I wasn't overly impressed with him last season. I thought the first season at West Ham he was really good. So hopefully that's the Kudus we're getting. But big part for me was how motivated he was to join. That says a lot to me. So he wanted to come, and it looked like he's probably sort of forced some things there as well. So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you call it a statement signing, though, Gary?
I think it's going to take. I think it'll be a lot of attention because it's come from West Ham. Statement-wise, I think it's difficult to say at the moment. He's not. He's a fantastic football player. He's unreal. I'm not. For me, the number one was Eze, and I thought that was more of a statement of intent. Really, I do like Kudus. I liked him a lot at Ajax as well. So. Yes and no for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Lewis, talk to me about your live reaction to, the signing of Mohammed Kudus. Are you excited?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I mean, as Gary said, you want in the first season at West Ham Kudus, not the second one, because there'll be expectations on this. I mean, 55 million, I think, is a fair fee. I know West Ham fans are in bits about it. They're crying. They think we've absolutely fleeced them. I don't think that is the case. I think 55 is a fair evaluation for him. I think pushing 60 above, I think, is too much, because from this season, he's technically proved that the value should have gone down, really. Because I mean, I'll cut him some slack. I'll defend his corner. The fact that West Ham had 2 managers last season, and under Graham Potter, he never really got the distinctive role. Because if you go back on the games, a lot of them he played as a striker. Actually, a couple of them he played as a 9. He's played as a 10. He's played as a winger. Both sides. He had about 4 to 5 different positions at West Ham last season. He was moving about that front line constantly, and he never really had a distinctive fit. So I think that's a big tell for us as to why he didn't get as many, or the stats would say, as he didn't get many goal contributions there, because he's always moving around that forward line. So I think if he was to have a distinctive role under Thomas Frank, I think he could thrive. And I'm excited by the signing, and I think we've done well to negotiate that fee down. The Daniel Levy special, we've negotiated down from that quite extortionate release clause that we was first linked with for about 80 million. That West Ham fans were going, yeah, I would happily sell him to Tottenham for 80 million. And now we've got him for 55. They're not too happy about that.
Can you understand why they're not happy in terms of £85 million release clause? It's a big drop, isn't it, to 55? I totally agree with you, by the way, that 55 million is probably fair. You know, it's what he's worth. We saw Alanga go for 55 million. It's probably in this current market, probably on the better side of a good deal, but it's still it's reasonable, isn't it? But can you see where they're coming from when they locked in probably that release clause, both West Ham inside the club, but also their fans, they'd probably hold out for 85?
It's because we're Tottenham. Like, I mean, it's the Tottenham tax that people associate. I mean, it's because, I mean, for some reason we are their biggest rivals. I mean, we don't really care too much about them, but I mean, in the end of the day, West Ham would see us as their biggest rivals, and it's the Tottenham tax. And they will look at it like 85 million is a bitter pill to swallow, selling us to the biggest rivals, but it's 85 million. They would happily take the deal. And now to drop the price of 30 million, that's a big thing for them now, and that's what's going to stick to them now, that we've chopped that down a lot, and that's what's got them angry. But he's not worth 85 million. If we bought him for 85 million, I think that is an absolute outrageous, because he's just not worth that. And he hasn't proved it, really. I mean, because we're obviously next season, we're now playing Champions League quality football, and he's never really proved that he's a Champions League capable player. I mean, he's played with them. He played in Champions League with Ajax a few years ago, but I would never really say he thrived in the Champions League. So he's still got a lot to prove, and that's why I think 55 million is a very fair. I think it's fair for both sides, but I mean, West Ham won't look at it like that.
Fair enough. Gary, the 55 million fee to sign Mohammed Kudus makes him the most expensive Ghana football player in history. What do you make by that stat? It's quite baffling.
Yeah, there's been a lot of players that are from the continent that are great. I would have expected to go for more, but in this day and age, 55 million is kind of a standard fee in a way. We're getting to, Anthony Alanga just went for 55. I don't believe he's better than Kudus in anyway. He had a great season last year, but I would say Kudus is a better player. I'm pleased with the fee. I don't think West Ham fans will be. I feel that Kudus has probably forced some hands there. I think that he's probably, as I said on Monday, I think he's forcing some hands to get out for whatever reason that is. And I'm not sure why it was Tottenham he was so sure on coming to. Hopefully we'll find that out when there's some interviews with him and his announcement. But like I say, if we get the first season one, he scored 8 goals, 6 assists. Last season only got 3 assists last season. So there was clearly a drop off in assists as well as goals. He's only got 5 last year. But as Lewis was saying, like, he's moved across the front line a lot. I think if we keep him in one position where he's able to drift in, I think that's probably where he's best suited. But 55 million is good. Daniel Levy for you, right? No one they've probably just got annoyed of having to deal with him. let's just do the deal now. Get this guy off our backs. But yeah,
I mean, Gary, this deal had Daniel Levy written all over it from the start, didn't it? A cut price, deal from the £85 million release clause. I remember we joked about it on the podcast, a couple of weeks ago. I think we joked about it again Monday. Daniel Levy's delivered though. He's got the player in. Doesn't matter, does it? If it's cut price or not.
We laughed that he wanted to add, or reportedly wanted to add fees on for Champions League wins and whatnot. And we all thought it was about 55 then anyway. It was 50, maybe 55, but perhaps they've just gone, right, this is our guy we want. And clearly they're backing Thomas Frank. I do like a lot of the communication that's coming out of the club at the moment as well, with the videos that they're doing. That's refreshing. Clearly there seems to be some synergy between Young Lang and Thomas Frank. Obviously they know each other very well, so hopefully there's an alignment there straight away, and this is the first step of a number of players coming in. Hopefully Wisa is next. I mentioned him on Monday as he would be the guy I would really like to see, and I think that him and Solanke would be great not as a pair, but we've got a lot of games that we're going to play, so I think it'd be very, very good there. And I'm excited now more than I was on Monday when I was thinking about all these players that we could sign.
good. It's really good to hear. I've got a stat for you, Lewis, here. Kudus at Ajax played 45% of his minutes in midfield. Does that excite you? Maybe a player that is quite versatile?
I mean, it does, yeah. Versatility is key, especially with, Champions League football and Premier League football and all the cups as well. But to me right now, I think or in the midfield, obviously we are yet to see us kick a ball under Thomas Frank, so we are yet to view how he was going to set up our team. But we have a good idea. From Brentford, how he likes to play a 4-2-3-1, and he also switches to a back three. He's quite a pragmatist, and so he's very movable. Frank ball isn't really a thing. It's just very pragmatist based on who you play, and it's adaptable. But I think that this is, I would hope it to be more of a signing to play out wide, in my personal opinion, just because we already have Maddison, and to me as well, this is just my opinion, obviously unfair, other people have theirs. I prefer Kulusevski down the middle as well, and that's my personal opinion. Other people can prefer him out on the right, but that's what me. So to me, the number 10 role that we would have in that squad, to me, is fully covered, in that I would have Maddison and Kulusevski there. You can always play Kulusevski out wide as well if need be. So that to me is covered. It's the wing, it's the wingers, and it's the wide men that Kudus can play left and right as well. Very versatile, and we have that now a lot in our squad, because as well Wilson or the Bear can play on the left and right. We've seen that last season with Ange as well in the Premier League. So I think, and as Gary said, Brennan Johnson could also be pushed out on the left as well, as had done. So this is very good, versatile signing. I'm not too concerned about him playing in the midfield, so to speak. I'm concerned about how he can play out wide, and this is the focus of the signing to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's definitely going to be out wide. I think that the way that Brentford played with the counter attack, he's perfect for that. He's quick. As we've seen, he's very good on the ball, dribbling as well. I think Brennan Johnson's going to have a big season this year. Again, I think Thomas Frank was such a big fan of his that I think that he'll probably move out to the left. Him and you got Matty's Tail out there, and you got Odeberg and Kudus on the right, and then we've got Maddison and Kulusevski. I echo Lewis. I think Kulusevski's best is through the middle. We've got them two, and then if we get Wisa, we've got Wisa and Solanke, and you think there's two players in every position there that are of similar abilities, which is what we need to progress through as much as we can, and then it's just strengthening up in a couple of the other areas. But I agree with Lewis.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think Kenny in the YouTube chat makes a really good point. He says that Kudus is class, and actually the good point he makes is that Ghana didn't qualify for the African Cup of Nations, so that's good for Spurs. Gary, that is so important, isn't it? Just be a super player. They're losing a lot of them, so to keep Kudus is really important.
Yeah, we need to keep as many in, and that's great. We're obviously going to lose a couple. I think that, again, that his versatility that he can play in the middle will help us, but I think also we are very strong in the middle anyway. We'll have Sarah probably be out. Sarah be gone as well. Basuma, whether he's with us or not. So it would be Bentancur, Gray, Bergvall. Don't think I'm missing anybody else. That's not bad. Maddison can drop in there as well. So I think as long as we keep everybody fit, I think that's the biggest challenge after last year, is keeping everyone fit. So hopefully with the medical changes and personnel there, that will be the case as well.
No, fingers crossed. That's certainly the aim. Lewis, next question kind of for you is, what does it mean for Heung-min Son now? Kudus has signed to the club. Does it mean that Son's future has all of a sudden become uncertain? Does it mean that maybe he's going to be used less, maybe as an impact player or substitute, or do you just not think it's affected? It's a case of bringing in depth and competition.
We don't. It's kind of hard to answer that, because obviously we don't know Thomas Frank's plan yet.
That's
what I could say is I don't know. I think this is, if Son is to stay at Spurs this season, I think this is last season, because I think this is last year of his deal. I can't really see him extending. I don't think. He is dropping off a little bit as sorry sight, but it's true. He's not really up to it. I think this could be a bolster in our attack, and I think Son's minutes could be getting lessened a bit, which I think is a good thing, because I think we overloaded him last season. He was playing a lot. I think Andrew was trying to play him, because as your club captain, you are kind of you are pushed not really to play him. I know the manager picks his team, but as well as the name, it's Heung-min Son. You're going to be you're going to want to play him. But I think at the end of the day, with Thomas Frank, I think he's already going to be looking to the younger signings. This, for instance, Matisse Tell, I think that is that cover and that is the future left-hand side of Tottenham Hotspur. So I think we've already kind of covered it. And I think Son is now just, he's going to be involved next season if he's to stay. But I think, I mean, in our best 11 now, would you start him? And to be honest, I don't know if I would.
No, I agree. I think this is his last season, and as we alluded to earlier, I think that it's really down to him now. If he wants to go, I think that we'll all be appreciative of everything that he's done and thankful. But I think it's solely down to him and what he wants to do. But I think minutes wise, yeah, they'll definitely be lessened. But equally, we're in a lot of competitions, and Daniel Levy has said this, not Tottenham, that they want to win the league and they want to try and win the Champions League. So we're going to need a good quality squad, and I think that he leads these players. You can tell at the end of that, at the end of the Europa League final, how much everybody loves that guy. So yeah, I hope he stays. But I'd be okay if he went as well.
Okay. Sticking with you, Gary, would you say that Kudus, now he's signed, is our best attacker? And Lewis is right in terms of we don't know, like, because it's Frank's system, who will be more important, who's going to thrive next season. So that makes it harder. But is he our best attacker now? We signed him?
I think Maddison on his day is probably the best player we've got. On his day, I think he could be unplayable. I think Solanke's very, very good. I think he's highly underrated. I played as a striker. I played at a decent level, but just watching his off the ball movement is just unreal, especially live and how he holds the ball up. Because for a lot of the time, I always had to play one on my own, and it's so hard. And just watching him sometimes is incredible to do. But I think Maddison is probably our best attacking player. I would have said Son, but I think that ability's slowly going down, but maybe on his day still is. I would probably go with Maddison, but maybe ask me 6 months into the season, Kudus might have an absolute worldie, and then I'll look an idiot again. And by the way, PSG are winning 2-0 at the moment. 8 minutes gone over Real Madrid, which is actually really good for us because they will go to the final at the weekend, and I believe, please correct me if I am wrong, but FIFA have told them they have to have 3 weeks rest from this tournament before they play again, which means they will have 5 days between the Super Cup with us. So let's hope that PSG win, because they're only going to have less than a week's rest before they play us in the Super Cup.
Well, I mean, let's be honest here. They could have 0 days rest. They'll beat us either way.
You never know. You never know. Never know.
Come on, let's be positive.
Let's go positive.
Let's go positive indeed.
But they're winning 2-0 and it's 8 minutes gone. It's unbelievable.
Last kind of question on Kudus before we move on to other transfer news for now anyway. I'm sure we'll come back to it later. Lewis, I want to ask you, does this deal and signing, I suppose, feel more special that the fact that this rattles both the West Ham fan base and the Chelsea fan base in one move?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, I'll be very honest here. I mean, when it comes to West Ham and Chelsea, I'm not fussed. I mean, at the end of the day, I could be egotistical when I say this, but I think there'll be talk about in London who's the biggest club. We've got 3 London clubs who deem us our biggest rivals, or we are their biggest rivals. And let's be honest here, we don't really concern ourselves much for Chelsea. I don't really concern myself much for West Ham. It's Arsenal that really are the ones that I would concern myself with the most. If they were to win a big trophy, or if they're to sign someone, a big player, then that would anger me a little bit. But when it's West Ham, when it's Chelsea, I couldn't really care. I mean, at the end of the day, because I just don't really. Chelsea and West Ham are a bit irrelevant to me. I mean, I don't really know that many Chelsea fans. I don't know any West Ham fans. So I mean, it's just a bit irrelevant. I mean, if it was he was getting linked with Arsenal and then we started to snatch him up, then yeah, I'd be very happy about that. But I mean, Chelsea and West Ham, they're not really. They don't concern me that much because I just don't really care. I mean, Chelsea and West Ham are just they're irrelevant to me. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not trying to say we're the biggest club in London. I'm not trying to say that at all. But I mean, I'm the most concerned about Arsenal as a type of rival. So I'm not that fast.
Okay. Last question for you, Gary, on Kudus, and I totally respect this. It's hard to answer. What's your ideal front three, pretending we sign no more attacking players going into that first game of the season?
Front three, Kudus on the right, Johnson on the left, Solanke through the middle, James Maddison behind. Don't think Kulichevsky will be ready, but that would be my front four. But that would be, yeah, I think that Johnson and Tell is going to be the ones on the left. I think Odebear and Kudus will be the ones on the right. Kulichevsky here and there, and I think it'll be Solanke and probably Song through the middle. As like they're like the depth of the squad. But yeah, front three: Solanke, Kudus, and Johnson.
Tell you what, I'll throw in one more question. I'd tell a lie, and I apologise. Gary, would you say that Kudus's best ability is? Some people say, it's his dribbling, or what is it for you?
Yeah, dribbling. I like that way he cuts in. He's good left and right, mainly on his left, I think. Unlike Lewis, I do know loads of West Ham fans. My whole family are West Ham fans.
Of course, yeah.
So it's I watched him. I watched pretty much most West Ham games as well. When I'm around it in London. But yeah, he's very good left-footed and cutting in. So I think that him on the right, similar to like how Mbeumo plays. So I think him out on the right would be very, very good.
Okay. Lewis, I'll tell you what, I'm completely lying here. There's a couple more things. So, yeah, completely cool me. Kudus will be the first Spurs player to move from West Ham to Tottenham since Scott Parker in 2011, so 14 years ago. Do you think this is a positive thing?
I mean, maybe West Ham don't really have their best players. I mean, I'm not saying Kudus is a bad player. I'm just saying overall their squad in general. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if I was to pick any other, I think we poached the best West Ham player they've got to offer. I mean, probably bar Jared Bowen, but he's not going to be going to Spurs anytime soon. So at the end of the day, I'm not really. It doesn't matter. I mean, West Ham still aren't really too interested in doing business with us. I mean, so I don't know. I think it's probably just because the player wanted the move. As Gary has alluded to, that he's probably forced hands. He's probably spoken to them internally and said, I really want this. I'm going to push for it. And that's probably what has forced them to do this move, because I don't know if the reports, obviously you never know if the reports are true, but people have alluded to the fact that West Ham would have preferred to do business on Kudus with Chelsea as well, which is, I mean, that tells you all you need to know, really. So, I mean, if that was to be true, then it's not really a positive thing. I mean, this might be the last time they ever want to do business with us. And that might be, and I'll close the book.
Interesting way of looking at it. Thank you very much. Only Yamin Lamal with 291, should I say, won more offensive duels than Mohammed Kudus in the top 7 leagues last season with 261. So Gary's absolutely right when he says Kudus' stats aren't pretty, but this is one of the more pretty ones that I've picked out here. So that's good to know that he can put in a real defensive shift. I think we'll need that at times, regardless of the manager, regardless of the system. So I can't help but see that as a positive thing. And he's completed more successful dribbles than any other player in the last 2 Premier League seasons with 216. We move on from Mohammed Kudus for now. Gary, what's next? We've signed a winger. What comes next for you? Is it fullbacks? Is it midfield with a number 6?
I think we definitely need a number 6. Who that is, I'm not sure. There's not been a lot of reports, so it's difficult. There's obviously people that we may have individual preferences over. I think we definitely need to start looking at the homegrown issue for the Champions League, whether that be Kyle Walker-Peters or Dennis Serkin. I don't know. Maybe one of those. I would lean towards Kyle Walker-Peters, if I'm honest. It's a free transfer, but it's not the biggest of quality, but it adds squad depth in there. I think at number 6 definitely. However, if Wisa is available at a decent price, whether that be 40 or 50 million, he's only got 1 year left on his contract now, apparently. I'd be very interested in getting him over the line, and then potentially look at where he could play. I mean, he could also play from the left. He could play all 3 positions. So, I think that also depends on what's happening at the back with Christian Romero. So it just depends really of where we need to make those changes. For me, I think I'll be looking at a number 6, but a really nasty player that can break the play up. I said this on Monday and I went out for a walk today and I was thinking, who could that be, nasty person? And I quite miss Pierre Højbjerg. I liked him. I think it was just a nasty, braked up, played the ball, got rid of it, played it simple.
Great.
That's the type of thing we need. We needed someone in there that's nasty. And it was decent on the ball. Like, he wasn't world class on it, but he got rid of it. He got it to the ball players, and then he stayed in his lane. He reset. We've got too many box to box. Sar's box to box. Bergval's box to box. Bentancur. Hopefully he could be that guy. But for me, a guy, the nasty number 6.
Okay, thank you. Well, we've got a suggestion in the YouTube chat from a fellow YouTuber and content creator, Has
Perfect.
Spurs TV. Big up to him. Douglas Luiz.
Yes.
Yeah?
Perfect. Yeah, definitely. He's that nasty. He's got a nasty streak in him. He knows the Premier League. He's played at a big club as well. In Juventus. Decent on the ball as well, but a lot of energy. Someone like that would be great. Juventus are kind of in another rebuild, such as we are, so they're all over the place as well. So then maybe they might want to make some changes. So yeah, Douglas Luiz, someone like that would be great.
Lewis, would you like to see Douglas Luiz sign for Spurs?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. I think I rate him, to be honest. I mean, I know someone put in the chat, I'm not entertaining that comment at all. But Douglas Luiz, I'll take him. 30 million, I say 30 million, it'll probably be about 40, 45 million would it? And at the end of the day, we do need number 6 because I think that's what holds us back the most in our squad in general. I just think it's the lack of a number 6. I mean, I always, to me, I mean, I know this is impossible, but it's the Rodri role is what I would assume. You're not going to find another Rodri, but Rodri to me is the best midfielder, is the best number 6 in the world, and that is what we lack. And that I mean, you'll never find another player like Rodri, because I think when he's fit, he's untouchable in that role. But that's the sort of anchor in the midfield that we need, and it's really hard to find those type of players because they are very, very hard to come across, and they're expensive when you find them. For instance, Arsenal paid 100 million for theirs in Declan Rice, and don't get me wrong, Declan Rice is a superb player, and he is quality. He's generally so good. But that's the sort of fee you need to pay to unlock that good number 6. And are we really going to be spending that sort of money? No, we're not. So that's the issue that I find, and that we probably won't be finding a world class number 6. Because we just ain't going to pay the fee for them. But I mean, Douglas Luiz, I think, could be the cheaper alternative. I mean, if he wants to move back to the Premier League, I think we'll probably be able to get him for about 45 million potentially. It's a fee I would maybe go there for, because I know he didn't really play much for Juventus last season, and they got him for quite cheap as well in a deal that they did. They swapped 2 players with Aston Villa for that as well. So yeah, maybe I think Syria as well got some good players.
I think he's been reported to go to Man United. I know Man United reported him for like 30. For me, that 30 number would be spot on. I think he's a really good player for that. Echo like Declan Rice, 100 million, was brought in to be that sort of break-up player, but now he's more of a box-to-box. He's been advanced more, and now they've brought in another player that's going to slot in there. And we don't necessarily have the luxury to be able to do that. I don't think financially we're quite there. But I think if we could get someone that's got Premier League experience, that is that nastiness side of him as well, that's a decent price, I think that we should be jumping on that. Otherwise, it's, again, looking in at the offensive positions. But if we bring in Risa now, we're going to be absolutely loaded across the front three.
Gary, Yel Paulinho, someone's mentioned here in the chat, Regular and David Clark. What do you reckon? Do you think that's realistic? Would you want to see it happen? Obviously gone to Bayern Munich.
I don't think I know a huge amount about him, if I'm honest. Who's he playing for at the moment?
At the moment, Bayern Munich signed from Fulham, but he's experienced, but
a
little bit. Yeah.
I haven't seen enough to really comment.
All right.
I don't know a huge amount on him. I don't want to
I think he's too old. He's 30, and I think I mean under this Thomas Frank sort of. Well, I mean I don't know if it's fine as a rebuild, but I mean the Daniel Levy signings or is that he tries to buy on the youth side as well, so you can get as many years out of them and maybe sell them on for future profit. I wouldn't mind the job being a shout if we were to sign him before he went to Bayern Munich, but this was like a couple of years ago. But I think he's had his time. I mean, he didn't really play. He didn't really fit in Bayern Munich because they prefer their. I think it's Pavlovic's name is the young German they play as well. So he's not really in the. He'll probably be open to a move, but I just think he's too old, and I think he's just not.
If we did do something with Bayern Munich, it would probably try and get him at a cheaper rate to then knock off some money from Harry Kane of what we were owed. So it wouldn't surprise me if Daniel Levy did something like that. I don't know much about the guy. If he hasn't played a huge amount, it might be why. But if he is 30, I probably echo Lewis. It's probably a bit too old, which sounds silly as a 40-year-old that he's too old, but it's that's the way that Levy will work. He was going to want to try and get some sell-on value, as Lewis says.
Moving on to Basuma, because you talked about number 6 replacements. Gary, what does this mean for Basuma if we can bring in a number 6? I know we spoke about it Monday, but what do you want to see happen regarding Basuma's future, and what do you think will happen? Will he leave?
I think he'll probably go. I know there was a lot of reports earlier last week that Juventus were interested, which kind of alludes that perhaps Luis could come the other way. That's possible. I like Basuma. I thought he had a really good end to last season. Maybe it is time that he went. There is a sell-on value there. It's not going to be anywhere what we paid for him. I wouldn't have expected. I don't know. I feel like Thomas Frank could get something out of him. I really do. I think that the way he reacted last season was fantastic. So perhaps a new manager around him who clearly is quite personable might be a benefit to him.
Okay. Lewis, where do you stand at this moment in time on Basuma? It's been a little while since we've spoken about him.
I think the sun is set. I mean, I think last season is just the Premier League form. It was poor. It was very poor, and it wasn't good enough. I mean, I can't really sit here and say many of our players, if really any, had a phenomenal Premier League season because no one really did. But I mean, Basuma kind of stood out as one of the players who had the worst of a season, and that's not really that good. I mean, I can sit here and say that to me in the Europa League final, he was our man of the match, and I think he was actually incredible in the Europa League final and the couple games against Bodo Glimt as well. I'll happily admit that. But I just think on the course of the Premier League season, he just wasn't good enough, and I feel like he lacks confidence. I mean, his best asset to me actually is actually his ability to carry the ball forward, and that as a number 6, as much as that's a good asset to have, is his other assets in the fact his ability to win the ball and his ability to spread the play once he's won the ball. I don't think they're good enough, and that's what if we're going into the Champions League next season and Yves Basuma starting as a number 6, I'm a little concerned if that is happening.
I think we've got enough ball players in there. I think Sarr and Bergwijn, and then you've got Archie Gray. That I don't think Archie Gray is necessarily going to be a guy that carries the ball so much, but I think definitely Bergwijn and Sarr will, and Bentancur likes to. But I think we've probably got a lot of those type of players, and I think that's kind of what let us down last season, where we didn't have someone that could break things up. That is my floorboard. Sorry. So yeah, I think it's we've got enough of those players. Yeah, sorry, the 3-0 just threw me for a minute because I've got a screen here that's just flashed up 3-0. So.
Yeah, 3-0 PSG for anyone interested who's listening live.
But yeah, I think we've got enough of those players, and I think if maybe he's 28 as well, so probably time for him to move on.
Okay. Lewis, I did ask Gary, but I'm aware I didn't ask yourself in terms of what you think the priority should be next. We've spoken all about midfielders and number 6. Is that a priority for you? Or is it like bringing in maybe full-back cover or centre-back? What is it for you, the priority next for Tottenham in the transfer window?
It would be a number 6, to be honest. Very similar answer, unfortunately. But I mean, I think fullbacks. I mean, if you keep it as they are, I'm not too worried. I think the fullback situation as of yet. I mean, Destiny Doggy and Pedro Pro for me, I'm happy to keep them as start. I'm happy to keep them. Jed Spence as well can cover both. Maybe a backup left back, maybe left-sided fullback probably would be nice. But I'm not too concerned about the fullback situation as of yet. I mean, obviously got the links to Kyle Walker-Peters, but at the end of the day, we need to sign 3 more homegrown players, and I can't really see that happening. I can't really see us signing 3 homegrown players to actually get minutes in this team at the moment. And those 3 homegrown players would be to be able to submit a 25-man Champions League squad. So at the end of the day, we're probably now we're forced ourselves to submit a 22-man squad because I can't see us signing 3 more. And if you sign Kyle Walker-Peters, you have to sign 2 more on top of that. I can't see that happening. I don't see the point in that because they're just not going to play. So at the end of the day, I think Kyle Walker-Peters should probably just not really be too. I'm happy to have him, but I mean, he's just not really going to get many minutes because I think Jed Spence, Desiree Doggy, and Pedro Porro are ahead of him.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think Kyle Walker-Peters is a really poor backwards signing, but he's versatile and can play numerous positions and just fits all the quotas that we need to. But it'd be quite a lazy signing. That's why I think Dennis Serkin as well is heavily linked to the club. We will move on to Kota Takai, who signed for Tottenham. Sky Sports report that it's a reported fee of £5 million. What we do know, though, is it's a 5-year contract until 2030, and it's the highest ever fee for a Japanese player or any player coming from the K1 leagues. That comes with an expectation. A little bit about him. He's 20 years old. We signed him in Castledale Frontale, and he's 6'4" and a ready CV, and it does look very promising. It's our equivalent of the Champions League over in Japan. He's won a lot of times and had a lot of experience in. He's got senior caps and he's got international caps as well. So it looks positive. Gary, what do you make of this signing?
Positive. I looked him up this week. Obviously watched the announcement video. Thought, it looks good. I then went into a YouTube deep dive, and I couldn't believe how big the guy was for how young he is. He's absolutely huge in that league. He was dwarfing players. Tackling, he's quick, strong. Very good last minute ditch tackles. I've seen a number of them just pushing people off the ball. Very, very strong. So it'd be nice to see how he fares in Europe. I think we'll learn more about him in pre-season, and then see where it goes. Maybe goes out on loan. I don't know. But from what I'd seen, arguably it is YouTube clips, and we can make anything look good by just clipping the good things together.
Yeah.
So, but by what I did see, I was impressed. But hopefully he can do that when he comes to Europe, because it's obviously a completely different kettle of fish here.
Certainly is. Lewis, you happy with this signing? Does it look like a good bit of business as far as Tottenham are concerned?
Yeah, it is good business. I mean, you can always make the argument that we're a team that needs signings for for players that are going to fit into the squad right now. Because if we're being honest, do we really see him getting solid amount of first team minutes next season? We don't really. It'll take a time to adapt. I don't expect him to be getting many minutes. I think you could probably, if he doesn't go out on loan, then yeah, he will be in the first team squad. He will be in and around that. But I mean, there's players ahead of him. You have obviously currently on our books is Romero and Van de Ven, Kevin Danso, Ben Davies, Luka Vuskovic is now training with the squad. I mean, we've got youth academy centre backs, Ashley Phillips, Alfred Johnson. Apparently, the stat that we've got 46 centre backs from our first team and our academy as a whole in this club. 46.
Whoa.
That is, I mean, if that is true, I mean, that's come out from a number of Spurs sources. If that is true, from our whole first team down to our academy, wow. If that is true, I mean, but if that is how many, that's how many we've got in our under 18s, under 21s, first team, whatever. That shows you how many we've got. And was this signing really needed? Probably not. It's one for the future, though. I mean, and yeah, we'll probably be able to flip a good profit for him in 5 years' time.
Absolutely, that's the way that Levy will look at it anyway. But all about that profit, what he can make on him. But I get why you do it. But hopefully you can get a lot out of him. It looks really promising. But Lewis, you mentioned there about us having a large amount of centre backs. I mean, wouldn't surprise me if it's true, although that is a huge number. We have a very unbalanced amount of players in different positions. But I just want to kind of ask you to do with Kai, whether you think he'll go out on loan, whether you think Frank will give him a chance in pre-season first. What do you reckon?
I hope he does get a run out, because I mean, we have seen in our past, and we've already got the instance this season with, I mean, we'll probably get onto it in a little bit, that Aleppo Veles did get loaned out. Thomas Frank hasn't even seen him kick a ball, and we've already loaned him out, which I think is a bit unfair. But I mean, that's the way you can look at it. I don't mind. But I think he will obviously get a run in preseason. I'm sure, I hope he will. Other players as well coming back, maybe players who maybe didn't see a lot of last season, players who got injured, for instance, like Radley Dragerson. So, I mean, many people probably want him to be pushed out the door. Obviously, you have your opinions on that, but he'll maybe get minutes as well in pre-season. So, yeah, I hope he does. I mean, it will take a lot for him to get a lot of first team minutes next season, just because if we are to keep our centre backs how they are now, there's not many opportunities for a breakthrough, really. But you could surprise us.
Yeah. Gary, I'll move on to you and talk about Alejo Veles now, who we did actually, I believe, speak about on Monday before the loan was officially announced, because it was in talks. Now he has officially joined Rosario Central for the 25-26 season, going back to Argentina. Do you think this is... Well, how do you view this? Do you view this in terms of, maybe like I do, that this is one loan move closer to the end of his Tottenham career, or do you view it as like he's a raw talent and this is just a loan to help him progress? Obviously, we don't know because we haven't seen him much.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of him. I think it's probably a loan to start moving out the door. I'm not sure how long his contract was when he initially signed. Didn't really show a lot when he came on. We've got a number of players that have been out on loan that are probably above him in the pecking order. Reality is he really going to play? Probably not. So I think it's probably a loan towards leaving the club. Haven't seen a huge amount from him that's from the time he has played that's made me think this guy's special. But again, we spend a lot of money on potential, and as I alluded to on Monday, I don't really think we have a very good track record of developing them players consistently. So I think this is probably just another one of them.
Sorry, my mute button got stuck. That was really annoying. It got absolutely jammed there. Sorry about that. No, I totally do agree with you. Lewis, how do you view this? Do you think it's a weird signing? 'Cause I can't help but feel it is. 10 million to then not be really given an opportunity apart from a few minutes off the bench. If he's a raw talent, then would we surely see him in pre-season? Like you say, Frank would give him a chance, and then we'd go, okay, is he ready or not? Like with someone like Mikey Moore or whoever. It just feels like another poor buy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, with our striker situation has been weird in recent years, because obviously we had Troy Parrott as well, Dane Scarlett as well, who's about 20 now, and we've had very, very limited first team minutes. I don't really know why, because our breakthrough with alluding back to Harry Kane came when Soldado was, I think, really in a pretty poor form, and we also had an injured striker. So we utilised our academy to bring out the next Harry Kane, and that's when everyone was like, "Oh, Dane Scarlett or Troy Parrott's the next one." And they haven't been that. And Alejo Veles was maybe another opportunity at that to bring out a young striker, and we failed. It's constant loans as well. Like, for instance, Brian Gill is now back at Spurs, having been on loan out like twice now as well. It's our failure to move on these players if they haven't worked out. But Alejo Veles has failed to be given an opportunity, which I don't think is very fair on him, because he's had no minutes to prove his worth. I remember he scored against Brighton away. And I can't tell you how many minutes. He's probably had less than 30 minutes in the Premier League. That's a random guess to throw out there, but he's probably around that. And he bagged a goal. So, is it really that fair to move him on? Loan before preseason, before even getting a look at, well, was it his choice to move on and get a loan back to Argentina? Probably might have been, but it was probably a poor signing. 10 million isn't something at this day and age to be really gutted about, because we probably could make some of it back, but it's still just a useless signing, really.
I think it proves another, apart from the alignment from top to bottom, we're signing players that not necessarily the manager wants, or the manager is prepared to use or willing to develop. Conte very clear that he doesn't develop players. Even in Napoli last season, doesn't develop them. Wants win now players. Mourinho was very similar. We were buying people that necessarily weren't aligned with, you know, the manager or the coach at the time. And I think he adds today. Got Mano Solomon as well. That's coming back from loan. We've got the South Korean young lad that we signed in the summer, Yang, as well. We, you know, Will Lancashire with Dane Scarlett. We got like so many in there that are going out but aren't getting minutes with us because the alignment, I don't think, is quite right with the management or the coaching stuff. Maybe Thomas Frank will be different. Who knows? But we've just got a lot of players that probably are going to be moving on or going out again on more loans and just not being given those opportunities, which is a shame.
Absolutely. Before we get on to Romero and Wissa to wrap up the podcast, question here for the panel from a comment in the YouTube chat from Spurs Die Hard. So big up, who says, Maddison, Kulusevski will both miss a chunk of pre-season. So do we think that Jamie Donnelly will get the chance as a number 10? Lewis, I'll put the question to you first. Donnelly, do you want to see him get a chance? Do you think he will get a chance?
I would like to see him get a chance. Will he get a chance is probably a different story. I mean, it is a big ask of him. I mean, just coming up from League One. I mean, I define the Championship as a Premier League to a huge jump. So League One to Premier League are probably an even crazier one. I mean, I'm more than happy to entertain the idea of him being in and around the squad in the next 3-4 years' time. I think he's more than capable of making that jump up. But, I mean, he'll probably get started in the pre-season. Maybe because we've got Luton and Reading coming up, I'm sure he's more than capable of getting minutes in those types of opponent, and maybe he can impress. But I think in Frank's mind, he would already know now that Maddison or Kulusevski is his starting base for midfielder, and he's already watched them. He's already seen them from last season, and he can correlate that to his own ideas. So I hope he does get a chance, but I don't see him getting much of a chance, to be honest.
Do you think he'll stay though? Like moving on from pre-season, if he impresses, do you think he stays, or does he just go out on the loan?
I think he was on loan. I think there's too many. I think our midfield, although I think it lacks quality, it kind of does have that quantity element in that. It's kind of hard for, or maybe not quantity, but I mean, I don't. With our 10 situation, if he is going to play for us, it's going to be as a 10, and we've already got Madison, we've already got Kulusevski as highlight there. That's very hard for him to break through in that situation, in that with those two players there. So I think a loan to a Championship club will be his best port of call next season. Is what I would. I would probably loan him out to that team, a team that would maybe lower in the Championship or mid-table, where he's guaranteed to get minutes and impress, because he was Leyton Orient. I don't know if he was Leyton Orient's player of the season, but I think he was young player of the season or whatever last season. And Leyton Orient fans will tell you how much they're going to miss him next season, because he was amazing for them.
Yeah, they wanted to sign him.
They wanted to sign him permanently. So I think a Championship club next season would be his port of call, and I think that would be good to get him experience and minutes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Gary, how do you feel about Jamie Donnelly, his future and pre-season?
Yeah, the same as Lewis, echo those. I think he'll probably get some game time in pre-season, and I think he'll probably end up similar to a lot of the players that come through, unfortunately, that get put out on loan again. Hopefully impresses in pre-season, and we can keep churning people from the academy. I like to see that, but I can only really see him moving back out on loan, to be honest.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. Thank you very much. We'll move on next to Christian Romero before Johan Wissa. So Romero, there's reports kind of coming up from the big sources, including Fabrizio Romano, that no bid or approach has come from any clubs, including Atletico Madrid, in the last few days. Gary, do you view this as a positive thing? Fabrizio Romano also went on to say that he's like Romero's a key player, and Spurs are kind of not allowing those offers at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's paramount we keep him. But if he starts, pushing, I think it's similar to the Kudus situation. I believe Kudus has tried to push himself out. So, yeah, he's paramount that we keep. I'd like to see more consistency out of him. Hopefully Thomas Frank can get that. It is good news, but again, I think it's Atletico Madrid probably not being able to afford the fee that Daniel Levy wants. And Daniel Levy says no, then that's it, really. If he signs a new contract this summer, then I think we can rely on him for a number of years. I think if he doesn't, I think he probably leaves this time next summer, definitely.
Thank you. Gary, another question for you. Someone in the chat suggested making Romero the club captain. That's not going to happen, though, is it? As we spoke about Monday, if Son's still at the club, if he leaves, then that will happen. But would you, if you're the club, or you're Daniel Levy, do you do it? Do you take that risk?
I think it depends on the minutes with Song. I think it can undermine him, but equally, it's a new manager coming in, new manager, new regime, new ideas. If at the end of the day, if it comes into his contract, he's going to be a captain of the football club. He's going to be the captain. For me, he would be a good captain, but we need consistency. He needs to be on the pitch more than he is, and he needs to contain some of that aggression that he just, like I said on Monday, I think he gets bored in games and he just flies off and just wants to do something. I think there's something that switches off maybe, but for me, I would probably, I don't think I would want to. I don't know, it's hard because a part of me says no, I wouldn't try and re-sign someone and make them captain, and that's the reason why they're staying, is because I'm offering these things. I want these players here, like Kudus is clearly wants to be here. If you want to be here, be here. If you don't, I wouldn't really want you here, regardless of how good you are. Like I said on Monday, I want an 8 or a 9 consistency out of him, and we don't get that every week. We get that in 3 or 4 games a season in the last few years, anyway. Maybe a few more. I'm torn on him. I really am, and I know that would probably upset a number of people. But I really am torn on him. The consistency worries me with him.
Would you say he's our best player, though?
I think on his day he can be, and I think if all the stars are aligned and there's something on the table, I think if we go into a cup final, I think I'm more confident winning it with him there because he's a winner. He's won a number of trophies. You need that in your team. That's why I was quietly confident when we went in against Manchester United. He was being there, and also even though he didn't play, but Maddison had won things. We didn't have a lot of players that had won stuff, and it's always good to have that. I think on his day it could be fantastic, but we don't get that day all the time, and I want that. I want to see more consistency out of him. Like I said, if we could get him 8 or 9 every week, I mean, he's worth a lot more than 60, 70 million that's reported. If he's an 8 or 9 every week, he's the top clubs in the world.
Do you think he's been more like sensible and kind of calm and level-headed since he's been given that vice captain's role? And I think he has been.
Yeah, a little bit more last season, but again, there was times where I saw him live quite a few times, definitely against Crystal Palace. The arms would come up a lot like this, and that's frustration. We're all frustrated, but he was doing that a lot, and he was just drifting out of position. And while he wasn't necessarily at fault for any of the goals, Jed Spence was for most of them, if I'm honest, because he was constantly out of position. It was that that doesn't sit right with me, and that creeps in too much. But if we got the one in the cup final, 90% of the time, yeah, that's brilliant. But there's just that consistency in his attitude, and that worries me a little bit.
Fair enough. Lewis, do you think we'll be able to retain Romero? How crucial is it that we keep hold of Romero? You talk about depth and quality, and you're absolutely right, I think, to say so, that we have in defensive positions. So is it a disaster if Romero leaves?
It's not a disaster, but it's not by any means a good thing. It depends the fee. I mean, if it was to sell him for 30 million, that is a disaster. I mean, if it's selling for 70, 80 million, I wouldn't say that's a disaster. I'd say that's great business. But I do want to keep him. I think he can be just as important as Van der Ven. I know Van der Ven's a different breed. He's a different animal. What he's got in his game and that pace is just absolutely unheard of by any other centre-back in the world, really. But Romero's quality when he can, he's shown that he can be. last season, obviously in the Premier League, he got very, very limited amount of game time because of injuries, and obviously that focus that shifted towards cup competitions. I think it is. I wouldn't say it's 100% crucial. We absolutely must keep him, but I think we do want to keep him. I think we'd be idiots not to keep him. I think he is very, very important to us, and I think it's just I think that Europa League might have been the thing just to turn his head to stay. I think if we lost, I think I wouldn't say forced a move, but I think he'll be very, very open to a move. But I think just that win, or the Europa League win, has shifted a few heads, maybe. And that being Romero is to say, okay, I think we've proved we can win. Can we kick on now under Thomas Frank? And that could be what is making him think, okay, I'd be open to staying. I think I wouldn't offer him club captaincy. I wouldn't. If Son is to stay, I wouldn't change the club captaincy. I don't think Thomas Frank's idea could be to walk through the door and instantly just take club captaincy off Son. I don't think that's very fair. I think heads in the dressing room would already be shifting because of that. How much they love Son, how much they look up to him. I don't think Thomas Frank's first idea or first move as a manager should be to take that off him. I wouldn't give it to Romero in a contract. I think we should give him a pay rise, though. I think one thing that we need to do as a club is increase the pay of our players, because when you look at it, that's what attracts players these days. That's why Mbuemo's not coming to us. That's why he's going to United, because he would be earning double what Son is earning. And Son is our club captain. He's a legend, and that tells you everything. If we are to keep him, I think we need to make him our highest earning player, and I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, okay, decent. Lewis, you mentioned there about 70, 80 million if we can get from Romero would be great business. Do you think that Atletico will come back with improved bids? And if so, do you think it will be what Tottenham want? Because they seem to be short of cash the way they're acting anyway.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't surprise me if they come back with an improved bid, but the improved bid is going to be 35 million to 40, 50. That's still nowhere near, because we paid 40 million for him, bearing in mind. And since he's come here, he's been vice captain. He's been part of the Europa League squad, a part of the team that's won us our first trophy in 17 years, as we all know. He's crucial to that win. So I think I'm not saying we need to double our money, but it's going to be close to doubling it of what we paid for him to sell him. 70 million, I'd say, is the bare minimum I would take for him. I want him. I want to exceed in 70. 80, pushing 90. I think is a fair assessment. 35, 40, 50 is a bit of an insult, really. And if that is what Atletico actually value him at, then I don't really know what they're up to, and I don't think that's. I just don't think that's fair on the player as well. And if you're Romero and you're getting valued at 30 million euros or 35 million euros by Atletico Madrid, if you're probably thinking, is that the sort of people I want to be playing under? Because he's worth more. He's worth double that.
Fabrizio Romano has said about kind of any recent bid. He said actually there's been no official bid at all from Atletico Madrid, so that's interesting. So it only be reported, you would have thought, that valuation. But on Johan Wissa, today Sky Sports reported that Tottenham maintaining an interest in Johan Wissa. Brentford are aware of it. There's been no direct contact between the clubs over him so far. So just a kind of a standard update as far as Tottenham are concerned, interested, admiring all the things we spoke about Monday, hey Gary, that we do. It's different though with Kudus because we've got the deal done, to be fair. But then Sammy McBell via the BBC reported, and this is a bit more, I think, exciting if you want Johan Wissa to sign, and that is that Tottenham are making a move for Brentford attacker Johan Wissa, who's understood to be open and keen on a move. Tottenham are weighing up the financials attached to the deal. And then in the last few minutes since coming on air, Sky Sports have again reported via the Darmstadt chef that the imminent arrival of Mohammed Kudus at Tottenham is not thought to have any impact on a potential move for Brentford's Johan Wissa. I was worried about that we'd sign Kudus and kind of, that's it, down tools and move on now. Club-to-club contact expected soon. Gary, this is positive, isn't it? I think it's really, really positive.
Yeah, I think like what you said on Monday, where there seemed to be one focus. We're focused on getting one player in, which is Kudus, and then they get the focus then goes to the next person, which seems to be Wissa. So I like that the deal's been done quickly. I would be very happy if he joined. Again, I don't know what the fee likely will be, maybe 40 million, something like that, perhaps. I don't know, but I'd be happy if he came in, and then we could start looking at the other areas of improvement. But if we got that deal done quickly, yeah, be very impressed.
It would be good. What do you think it would mean for Richarlison, though, Gary? Surely that would mean, the end of Richarlison's time at Tottenham. I can't see Daniel Levy having three, Tottenham strikers.
No, I think that he's probably going to be leaving anyway. I think this probably be last year when been his last season. For me, I think it's time to move on. Like we discussed before, if we could use some of that money for Wissa, that's great. And I think equally, maybe they got in the back of their mind that Song might be going as well. And then there's some money there as well that's perhaps going to cover the whole deal, maybe. But I think definitely with Richarlison, it's probably time to move on and then use that money for Wissa.
Okay. Lewis, would you like to see Johan Wissa at the club? And if so, do you think he provides competition for Solanke rather than just being like the number 2 backup striker that I'd argue Richarlison is at the moment?
I'm a bit torn on Wissa because I don't think it's a priority now that we've signed Kudus. I think at the end of the day, would I like to have him? Why not? I mean, I think he's a good player. I mean, 28. I think he's worked with Frank. He knows what Frank's philosophy is. He knows, and they'll work well together. And that's probably someone who Frank would love to have at Spurs. And I'm all for that. Don't get me wrong. But I think now we've just signed Mohammed Kudus. Is another attacker really the next signing we need to be making? No. We need a midfielder. We need a 6, and we probably need to bolster our fullback before entertaining a Wissa idea, because I don't really want to be sitting here having signed Kudus, having signed Wissa, starting to prepare for the next season, and we haven't got a number 6, or we haven't got the strength in midfield that we need to be able to go ahead for the upcoming season. I wouldn't mind having him if the fee was 30 million or less. I think because he's 28, which means, I mean, he's going to be in his prime. This is prime years, but you ain't going to be getting. You won't probably see a better Wissa than the one you've just seen at Brentford last season. That's the sort of player you're going to be getting. So at the end of the day, I think 35 million is fair. But I think even with Brentford, I mean, I don't know if the reports are true, but loads of reports coming out that if we were interested in signing Norgard, they wanted 30 million plus, so they sold him to Arsenal for 10. So because we've took their manager, and I don't think Brentford are very happy with us right now. So I think any business that we're to do with Brentford, they might even stick excess price on it because of us poaching their manager. So I think, and poaching people like Joseph, but like the coach Cochrane, who they actually wanted to employ as their first team coach. And so us poaching these assets from Brentford, I don't think they're going to be wanting to do business with us anytime soon. So that's also that element towards that as well. But I wouldn't mind having it.
I think his contract situation potentially changes that. I think he's in his last year. I might be wrong, but I think he's in his last year. I think that changes things for them. If Tottenham come in with a decent price and he's in his contract year, then they might say, look, we're just going to have to move on. They're not silly people, Brentford. They're very clever in terms of recruitment. They've probably already got someone lined up. But I think he'd be very, very good to get over the line. But I do think a number 6 is a priority. But that depends on the players that are shifting out. I think Basuma would have to move on first because I think Richarlison definitely will.
I think it's important to note that Wissa, for the majority of his career, has been a wide forward. I think that's changed since Ivan Toney left the club. He's become striker. So in my head, I'm thinking Wissa as a centre forward. But a couple of people in the comments making a good point. He is traditionally a wide forward, which I think is quite exciting. I mean, for me, in my head, as a front three, and I don't know what it'd look like necessarily position-wise, but Solanke, Kudus and Wissa, I think that's a really good front three with someone like impact players, whether it be Johnson, whether it be Son, whether it be Tell, Odebear. That's quite exciting. There's a lot of options to have. Where I do agree with you, Gary, is I think that the players like Son and Richarlison will probably leave the club, and players like Solomon and maybe Odebear goes on loan. I think we see a lot of players leave because it feels weird to have this kind of depth. I knew like when we signed for example, like when we bring in 2 strikers, it's highly likely like Harry Kane's going to leave, for example. It's like surely we're not going to have that many strikers. So I think we won't see that level of depth for too long, but remains to be unseen. Lewis, how do you feel about?
We need depth. We need as much depth as we can get because of the amount of games that we're going to play and the struggles that we had this season. There is a number of people that will leave. But I think if you can definitely get someone like that that's played under the manager, knows exactly what the manager does, it's very good on the counter, could play all across the front three, and he's in his contract year, sorry. Yeah, I think he'd be definitely the next one over. Hopefully, this time in 2 days he is, and we come back on this. All call it.
Yeah, fingers crossed, absolutely. Lewis, how do you view Richarlison, player we've spoken about several times over the course of the season and before that? Is he, his time up now? I mean, because I don't know about you, but I love him, but I just think that, poor signing at the time, overpaid for him and can't stay fit and just isn't producing.
Yeah, it's the injuries that's plagued his time here. I mean, I think I said obviously hindsight is a virtue here, but I think as a collective, we all were probably in the agreement that when we did sign him, 60 million was an overpayment. I think we kind of all were maybe in agreement there. Obviously, hindsight to us now is we realise that yes, we did a lot overpay for him. Probably 40 million is where I would have capped it at. Now, and even that doesn't look like looks like we paid too much for him, but. It was injuries. I mean, last season he had moments because I remember he went on a decent run. I think last season under Ange, I can't remember the stat. It was like 9 or 11 goals in the next amount of games. But he had a good run. It's just injuries because I remember last season he came back and he got injured. I think within his first game back. Then, but again, in the end of the season, last season he did play. I think running on the left for our last 3 Europa League games, 2 against Bodo Glimt and the Europa League final. He started on the left and he put in a shift every time. And he did help out a lot. Don't get me wrong. He's always got a lot of energy. He's always pressing. He's always he's always helping out the team. And that's what I love about Richarlison. But yeah, it's the idea that he can't really stay fit. That does plague him. I mean, I would be happy to have him for one more season to try and give him maybe a redeemable season under Thomas Frank. I'm not saying we need to push him out the door. I'm not in that situation at all. It's what Thomas Frank thinks is best for him. I'm more than happy to have him stay one more season. But if we are to sign a Johan Wissa, then I doubt we should really be keeping him.
Okay. Thank you very much. So that's your opinion, Richarlison, Lewis. Do you think that we'll actually be able to move him on? And do you think we'll get a club that's willing to pay what Daniel Levy, for example, will want? I think that's the issue we've got here.
It is an issue. I mean, I think Daniel Levy knows. Daniel Levy, when it comes to values of papers, I mean, he can sometimes overshoot it, but he's also not the idiot we make him out to be. He knows he's not getting probably anywhere near about. I'd say we'd right now be lucky to get 25, 30 million from him. I think that's a lot. I think that we'd be lucky to get that. I'd say 20. I wouldn't sell him for less than 15 or 20. I think 15, 20 is a benchmark of what is fair for him now these days. I think if you can push 25, 30, by all means, I'll be thrilled with that, but 20 million is fair. And I think if a club, maybe a Saudi club or another club, probably maybe outside of Europe or in a lower European league, could clock those funds, I think that would be probably where it's at, market value wise.
Okay, yeah, I think 20, 25, 30 is good, and I think you probably might get Wissa for 35, 40, so you can use that money, and you're potentially only paying 10, 15 million for him, which in the grand scheme of it is a great business.
Certainly is, if you ask me. Before we wrap up, bit of breaking news. Fabrizio Romano on YouTube, it's to do with Kudus. It said that the fee for Mohammed Kudus to Tottenham is 55 million, which we know it'll be paid over 3 years. Gary, does this surprise you? It's strict Daniel Levy, doesn't it? I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but paying it over 3 years.
That's Daniel Levy, right? And I think you look at most of our deals are done like that. The amount of money that we owe in transfers apparently is quite high. There's a huge amount of money, over 200 million. Apparently, we've owed in the past over transfer deals that we're paying over a set amount of years. So I think that's why, like I said on Monday, we're asset rich but cash less. We don't have a lot of cash available, and I think again he's done the smart business here, and that's good. 55 million over 3 years. That's good.
Lewis, what do you make of this?
I mean, I think that's how near enough all clubs do business now, to be fair, over X amount of years. I mean, if you look at how Chelsea do business, they do it over, they pay over how long the contract runs. And that's how they get away with, or try to get away with PSR when you do 7 or 8 year contracts, then pay an incredible fee of 100 million over 7 to 8 years, because at the end of the day, no one to have an cash of 50 million to slap in one go is actually unheard of. I don't think any club would be able to do that. So that's why deals are done over 2, 3, 4 maybe years. That's how, I mean, we'll probably any players we signed recently, for instance, Dominic Solanke, we'll probably be paying him over the next 4 years as well. We signed last season. So that's just how deals are done these days. 3 years, I mean, obviously you'll be looking at, it says 20 million each window, but just shy of that. So each year. So I mean, it's how football works these days. And it is Daniel Levy. You'd never see him paying a fee all in one go.
No, as I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But thank you very much, guys. That wraps us up for an emergency podcast reacting to the news that Mohammed Kudus is going to become the latest signing. Arguably, leave it up to debate, a statement signing for Tottenham. But one thing's for sure, and that is that we're always going to do a podcast if we get any news. So thank you very much for you two for jumping in last minute. Let's go round and find where people can find you across social media. Firstly, Gary, thank you very much again. Late call up. Where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, mainly on Twitter, Gary R. Ward. So yeah, if you want to follow me, you're more than welcome to. No problems if you don't. It's absolutely fine. I do tweet quite a lot about Tottenham and European football in general, mostly Italian football. So if that's also of any interest to you, then head on over there.
Thank you very much, Gary. Your second time on the podcast, back to back as well. So you must be doing something right. Thank you very much for coming on. And Lewis, thank you as well. Again, last minute for yourself. It was a last minute decision because you didn't. Well, I didn't expect this news because latest I read this morning there's a big gap in valuation, but it just shows you don't believe everything you read on social media. But Lewis, where can people find you?
Yeah, I remember 17 season there on X, and that is where you find me if I was to ever post, which I don't.
You're not active? No, still not?
No, we're not.
But all jokes aside, we are now covering tier 1 news from reliable sources across our Scarfey Spurs Talk page on X. So if you are interested, please do check that out. Do follow us on there, Scarfey Spurs Talk on X, just because there's a lot of false reporting, a lot of in the know accounts. We just post from reliable sources, so fans can be kept up to date, along with all the other content that we do. So that was something we've done recently that mattered a lot, and Lewis has assisted me with that. So thank you, Lewis. Make sure to follow both these guys on social media. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this last minute emergency podcast. It means a lot. So thank you. If listening on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. If you're listening after on a podcast platform, please do drop a follow and a 5-star review. A lot of you are at the moment listening on podcast platforms, so big ups to each and every single one of you. A lot of you tune in for a big amount of time, often to the end as well. So massive shout out to you guys. But for now, a massive come on you Spurs. Until next time.